there'll be no TJ Perenara by the looks of it, because he might be playing in the NRL sometimes.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, when Bryn was saying, do they discuss the All Blacks squad and stuff, I was like, I can guarantee you he'd be like, well, Perenara better go to the Roosters. He might get his, he might get that might get my name in there.
Was that a question to me, Jim?
No. I think, because by the sounds of it, it's just to finish off this season.
Yeah.
After his Japanese contract. So it doesn't sound like he's doing it to leverage contracts or anything. I think he's genuinely trying to have a crack at league.
Yeah.
I think it's exciting. Like we all know, I like to talk about a league. I think he'd make a great dummy half. And obviously Jake Friend's just retired due to concussion, so it would be a natural fit. Has he played it before? I don't know. Has he got the ability to go in there, learn their system, learn the game that quickly? It's probably easier going from rugby to league than coming from a league-heavy background to rugby, just because of the rules and the structure. I think if anyone could do it, he could, because one of his motivation levels, and two, just how much of a competitor he is, and how much he'd love to probably get an NRL trophy ring.
He could start at hooker, just distributing, doing a lot of tackling in the middle. But as it goes on, you could see more Cam Smith coming out of him, more directing of the play from dummy half, all those kind of things.
Oh, absolutely. He'll definitely be vocal. That's in his nature. He'll want to be a director. And if you think of the injuries that the Roosters have got, they've got no Luke Keary there, who's normally their general. So they've got young Sam Walker, he's about 18 years old. He's quite young in stature. They're making a makeshift sort of halves combo at the moment. So someone of like a 70 test experience coming in, they probably would want a general. They would want a vocal nine, someone having that ability to, it might be hard. It might be hard for them to come in there and demand, but they would want someone that has that vocal nature and demands from each other. So I think it would be a good fit, Bryn.
Yeah, I think might take a little bit of time, but again, he's got his style of play, how he plays rugby. I think it's going to transition great into league. I think probably a great position for him to be, with being able to transition into, would actually be in 14. It might be a little bit more broken. It won't be so much dependent on him coming on and running the cutter for 80 minutes or 60 minutes, and him just being able to, I think, cover lock. He can cover 9, but then again, he might actually be a loser. He's that combative and can play that physical. So I think he might have a little bit of a hybrid in him, which could be interesting for him moving forward in that kind of 14 interchange role.
Yeah, well, you can get a little bit of 13 into him as well, kind of playing similar to Jazz Tavanga, maybe.
Yeah, like Brandon Smith as well. I just think they've got Nat Butcher there. They've got Sam Verrills coming back. I just don't know if that's the spot they're trying to fill.
But is it feasible to bring a guy in mid-season who's never played the sport at a top level? Like, is that really rolling the dice a bit much?
I think they're backing themselves coaching-wise. They'll probably be I'd say they'd be leaning on Sonny Bill a little bit to learn a little bit about his character, how diligent he would be to upskill and learn, and how professional he is, and they'd be relying a little bit on that.
If a rugby league player was to arrive at your doorstep, halfway through Super Rugby Aotearoa,
it's hard. It's a total different thing, though.
Yeah,
going league to rugby, it's so much harder that way. Because of the structures and the breakdown is just such a beast that you need so much more time than going from rugby to league.
But you spend, I suppose what I'm trying to say is you spend all that time in the pre-season, you do all of those things that build a team together so you understand your structures and your play. For someone to arrive midway through the season. They're
so depleted, though. The Roosters squad at the moment is so depleted injury-wise. It's not about that. It's like they would... Trent Robinson was on the radio the other day saying that he's at 18 fit players to choose from, 19 fit players to choose from in his squad. I don't think they're going to be worried. They are depleted.
Yeah.
You look at Matt Duffy as an example around that. He was a guy that had played a lot, growing up playing rugby, went over to the Storm. And I remember talking to him about when his first couple of years he was obviously at Harbour. He said it just took him so long to have the understanding around, what it is to be a fullback. And obviously Tuivasa-Sheck will probably go through the same situation around. There's just so many when it comes to our game, and whether that be a breakdown or it's a pendulum, it's different plays you've got to know. It's not just like, not to say that league isn't just, it's a little bit, I wouldn't say it's easy to play, but, there's a lot of block plays and limbs play very similar, whereas rugby, there's just so much variety and you've got to understand so many different things around rules and how you play. So, but I think, you've got to remember as well, TJ is that competitive, and, I look at, he actually spoke to Brandon Smith around, certain things that he wanted to look for. So it's pipeline for a while. So he's, knowing TJ, he's probably talked to the right people who's needed to talk to. Is it feasible? Is this a genuine option of this happening? So I think when you've ever got a guy that's played that many games in rugby at the international level and at the super level and big moments, and he's thrived in that environment. Again, we're coming back to your point, Chip, around Trent Robinson, around the back end of coaching style to be able to give him what he needs to succeed at that level if he does go. But don't put it past. He's a guy that will, that I think will love that challenge. And again, it's in his DNA, it's in his blood. There's a lot of royalty with the Perenaras when it comes to rugby league.
One of the things I loved reading rugby league social media over the last week is because, the rugby league people in Australia love to hate rugby, absolutely love it. And they were like, oh, he's never going to handle the middle of the park, he's just one of these rugby players. And I thought, you guys have never seen this bloke. He, like you said, like the most competitive man in the whole world, but also he loves the physical stuff.
Oh, he lives for it.
Yeah.
He lives for that confrontation.
He's going to be in it.
He'll do a hit and he'll do the old Kidwell standover. He'll give it the old
Owen Gutenberg over the top.
the old David Kidwell. No, and I think sometimes you can get caught up in those stats as well. Like, so sometimes you're the second or third tackler in, and you get those stats that are quite misleading. They don't quite show the full picture, and sometimes we'll get celebrated for 15 tackles, but you've also hit 30 rucks, so if you add that together it's 45, and there's so many ways that you could argue it's similar, but there's no point because it's never going to be heard. So there is a different level of fitness, it's a different fitness.
Yeah.
So there will be a shift in terms of how you have to train and get fit for it, but no doubt he'll be making those adjustments already if he's doing it.
Yeah. I wonder if RTS is doing similar things right now, making phone calls. During his 100th game, he looked like it was 100% rugby league, like he was all over it.
I'm sure he's done the phone calls before he signed, surely.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he's probably... He'd be looking into it because he's got to come back to rugby at some point, so he'll be doing some stuff outside of the rugby league realm of learning what to do, I assume.
There's no text messages coming through to you?
Not to me.
Yeah.
I'd say it'd be more to Matt Duffy.
Yeah, fair enough. It's pretty exciting though. Like, I know we've got a lot of wingers, we've got a lot of fullbacks, we've got all that stuff, but watching RTS on the weekend, Bryn, watching him do what he does and then thinking, boy, you're going to be taking on some tight defenders in the last 20 minutes in a rugby game. No one's going to stop you.
And also a lot more tired than, like, league forwards are not like rugby type 5. They are quite a lot fitter mould, if you know what I mean. Like, it's a different sort of athlete. So he will be able to cause... some serious damage late in games.
Some props are going to be lurking and left in his dust.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't want to be in those wide channels.
Well, you look at Satoro, a guy with his kind of footwork, very similar to Rog, who's got a great left foot, actually both feet actually. So, but I think anytime you're probably going to back those coaches around when he does come in, they'll have the plans in place for him to try and upskill himself as quick as he can into the season next year. But you look when he's in space, depending on playing at fullback or winger, you're gonna look at that team sheet and be thinking, oh, my marking Roger and that left or right fullback. So it's going to be great for the game when he does finally come in next year.
It's going to be difficult. At the same time, like you say, coming over to this game is hard.
Well, I think you've already heard Leon come out and say we're not going to rush him.
Yeah,
it is going to take time, and they've already taken that pressure off him.
Yeah.
So he will not be rushed. And whether he starts at fullback or he might even start on the wing and transition to fullback, I don't know.
Yeah.
They haven't said anything like that to me. I'm just guessing. but he came out when it was announced and said, look, it will take time.